5, 4, 3.
Hi, my name is Bennett Martin, if you don't know who I am, and I'm a member and an elder here at St. Andrew Presbyterian Church. And as an elder, one of my duties is to take care of the church grounds and take care of the church buildings as a whole. And in 2012, or actually it's 2011, I believe, we had a capital campaign and raised a certain amount of money, and then there was a lot of items at the church that needed to be taken care of. Well, in 2013, we're back kind of at the same place. We have several items that are on the church grounds and including the building themselves that need to be taken care of. And we need to do another capital campaign. Some of those items I'd like to go over with you now. And probably the first thing I'd like to talk about is the roof of the entire facility. In the original capital campaign, we had collected money to replace the roof. But the roof was able to go a couple extra years, and now it is in need of repair. Those monies that we have from the original capital campaign are still there. So one of the things that we also need to do is do the painting of the entire building. And a few years ago, we had a great volunteer group that painted the building, but now it is in a state of repair. We probably should have a professional do it. And looking at the cost to do the roof and the painting, I started looking at combining the two for a bigger project so we could get more bang for our buck, so to speak. And so I think the opportunity now has come up that we can actually re-roof the building, and probably shooting for next summer for that because we've already had some issues with leaking in the last few weeks, and also painting at the same time. One of the reasons to do that is that the cupola needs to be scaffolded, and it's a pretty dangerous job, and so I think we need to have somebody that's professional and knowledgeable to do that. So we're going to be looking at doing those two projects together. One of the other things that's come up in years past and just recently also was the addition of driveway lights. It's pretty hard in the evening to note where the entrance and exit to the church are. There's probably been a few close calls. And the idea there is just to install a couple of lights to make it easier during the evening for people to find the church. We've also identified that the flooring, in most of the church, the carpet, linoleum needs to be repaired. You might, walk around the fellowship hall, you'll notice that some of the tiles in there are getting pretty old. So we feel that we need to take care of that. I think part of this is ongoing maintenance. I think we do a fairly good job at the church of doing maintenance, but I would like to step it up a little bit so we actually have a plan. So we can get these things replaced now and keep them maintained on a yearly basis or semi-annual. The likelihood of these things lasting longer than they did the first time are pretty great. One of the other areas is our parking lot. Parking lot gets an awful lot of use. We have two areas of the parking lot. Actually, we have three. But the two main areas are the paved area, and then in the center, we've got a brick paver turnaround that you're all familiar with. Well, over the last year or two, the water has been getting underneath the pavers and it's started to erode the base. And to avoid further damage, what really needs to happen is those pavers need to be pulled out, and that base underneath there needs to be recompacted or fixed, and then the pavers put back in. Likewise with the asphalt paving, we've got alligator cracking, and if you're not familiar with that, it's starting to break down in certain areas. Some areas of the parking lot are just fine. Other areas, it's exposed near the well house. If you go out and take a look over there, look at the pictures, you'll notice that there's cracking and water's getting under the pavement, and we have the same problem that we're having with the pavers, is we're going to lose the base there, and we're going to have some large holes open up. So this would be more of a preventative maintenance thing. Replace the areas that are bad and just resurface the areas that are good. The other thing that we looked at also was a phone system. Rich mentioned several times that it'd be nice to have a phone system for the staff and for to even have voicemail. We don't have voicemail at the church, so it's kind of hard to leave a private voicemail. So I've been looking into different systems. You can get a beautiful used phone system for half the cost or a fraction of the cost of a new phone system. But I think that's something that we ought to take a look into and install for the staff so they can communicate a little bit better. The one area that we've looked at for years is HVAC in the sanctuary, the need for air conditioning. So as all of you are aware, on a nice hot day that could be over 100, it's kind of stifling in there. So yeah, this is kind of a luxury item, but it's very comfortable sitting in there on a hot day. So we'll be looking at editing the existing system we have and just putting in HVAC equipment. It was already planned in the original construction, but budget constraints, we took it out when that work was done. The other items we need, the kitchen gets an awful lot of use. And one of the things there that we have, which is really small, is our water heater for the kitchen. Sounds kind of funny, but it's nice to have hot water to wash the dishes and clean up after a lot of these events and so forth. So looking at just a little bit bigger water heater and replace the one we have. One thing also is the exit signage. Exit signage is getting old and it's just kind of not working now. Parts of it work, parts of it don't work. So it's probably just a good idea to replace all the exit signs and make sure that we're up to current code. We have a lot of people using the church, especially at night. If something were to happen, this would be a great benefit and a comfort to have these things in and installed and working properly. One of the other areas that has come up is in the teaching, in the classrooms for the preschoolers and the high schoolers. And it's primarily just because of the way of changing times, is our audio visual equipment is very outdated, and you'll probably see them around the church on carts and a TV and a CD maybe, or a VCR. I saw a VCR tape there the other day. But it would be nice to update this in each one of the classrooms, such as putting a monitor, a large monitor on the walls with a little more updated technology that would, maybe use a flash drive or, still have a CD capability, but at least the teachers can have a little better medium to show the kids, what they're seeing at home, and that they're not going back in time and looking at the old stuff. And it sounds kind of funny, but the kids just love that these days, and my kids do. We'll leave it at that. One of the other areas is our children's playground, and I think it just needs a little TLC. And maybe that's an adoption project or whatever, but the fence could use some fixing, the toys could use fixing, painting, new chips underneath the play equipment. It's just one of those areas that we should take a look to having our kids safe out there and making sure that everything is up to par. The parking lot, again, we've got a series of parking lot lights, and we have been talking about just reducing costs, electricity costs and so forth, and it might be time to replace those old fixtures with more new technology with an LED fixture. And we can try to save a little bit on utilities. It's not a lot, but at least it's brightening up the parking lot a little bit nicer and making it a little more safer in the evening and just being a little greener. We also have several drinking fountains around the property. This year during the summer months, I noticed, just somebody being hot wanting some water, and fountains don't work. The one behind the sanctuary in the patio just doesn't work at all. And the one in the courtyard, it does work, but it needs maintenance to it. So I've been looking at just replacing the fixtures. It's probably pretty close to even having the maintenance done on. It's just to replace them with a little better fixture so that kids will have some water. We've also talked for several years, and this one is close to me, the need for a columbarium or a memory wall. Right now we don't have that capability at the church. We need to do some more further investigation. It's not a simple project, and it doesn't need to be a large, grandiose columbarium or memory wall. It just needs to be something nice and thoughtful. But it will involve working with the county and getting a permit and having a nice place for our loved ones there on the campus, which would be really nice. So we're going to be doing a lot more work into looking into what the requirements for that would be, and then also trying to find a nice tranquil space on the church grounds that we can do that. So we'll be back, to bring that one forward to the congregation some more, so we can understand that a little bit more and see how people feel about that. And there's been one item on the list for years, which is kind of funny. It just always seems to get pushed to the end, and again, it's almost the last item on my list, which is trash enclosures. As many of you will see when you pull up into the parking lot, we've got 10 cans or so out in the driveway and the parking aisles, and if you're lucky on a good Sunday morning, somebody's pulled them back in so you don't have to crash into them. while parking your car to try to get out and go into the sanctuary. So we haven't done actual kind of design or where we would put this. This is another item I want to look at closely and see if it's something that makes it on the list or not. It is now, but we'll find out what that cost is to do that, and if we really need to get that in there. It would be nice. We do get people coming through the parking lot, digging through our cans, and it'd be nice just to keep it cleaned up a little bit. And then I've also been asked, and several of the session members have been asked about putting solar on the church as kind of a greening method, or can we do something with that solar to offset our utility costs and so forth. In years past, solar did make some sense. Right now the incentives aren't as great. We're still looking into it. It definitely is on the list, but we need to do a lot more investigative work on it. It's pretty much large upfront cost, and the subsidies that were out there before just aren't available today like they used to be before. So I think, with that said, that's actually the end of the list. But I think somebody asked me the other day, how do we justify some of these things? And I think we all need to recognize that the church is like our home, and we take care of our homes, and this is another area that we need to take care of and be able to leave for our children. I have 2-3 kids that I know will probably be going to church here in the future, and I'm hoping that we can leave it for them as, say, my father has left it for us. And it's just a great place for us to be, and it's a wonderful family. So I thank you very much, and if you have any questions on any of this, please feel free to reach out to all of us at the church. Thank you.